Welcome to the Free and Open Mind podcast. We feature individuals from all walks of life to discuss authentic living and to share tips and advice on their journey to achieving and maintaining it. We cover topics to help support our journey to live more authentically. Today, we're going to talk about how better communication helps you love more authentically, and loving more authentically improves my life in the way that allows me to love folks where I need to meet them, and to me to also understand where they need me to meet them. And where we overlap, that's where the love happens. We stream live every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out the past episodes on freeandopenmind.com. I am Hardy Brooklyn. I'm a life and business coach based in Brooklyn, New York. I help my clients that something's just not right in life, not wealthy enough, not happy enough, don't have enough kids, whatever it might be. Figure out what it is that's making you feel not right and correct that path for a happier and more rewarding journey. So today's topic is loving authentically. And what does that actually mean? What does that look like? From my point of view, loving authentically means being able to communicate what you need to be loved and communicate that to all of your lovers, and to be able to communicate what they can expect from me as a lover, because every lover is loved in a different way. I love my parents, I love my girlfriend, I love my wife, and I love my kids, but the love that I have with them in order to be authentic is very different between me and each of them. And today we have Stan Nelson with us from Coaching with Stan, based in Perth, Australia. And I'm going to start off asking him a question that we both kind of use sometimes in our practice, sometimes we never bring it up. But how do you start to work with your clients, Stan, to have them understand what it means to love authentically?
Oh, thanks, Hardy. Look, when I'm working with people doing relationships, probably the first place I start is where they can understand themselves better and have self-awareness. And I usually start with them getting to do the love languages test and figure out what their primary and secondary love languages are.
Now, we say primary and secondary love languages. Now, I know there are five on that list, and I know that they can be broken down however you want, and people say there are five core languages. I just met a woman that said there are five core love languages. Each one of those love languages has 100 things inside it, and inside each of those boxes, there's hundreds more. So we can go down this rabbit hole, but that's not what we're here for today. What we're here for today is to figure out, when I understand what my love language is, how do I communicate that to myself and to my partners so that I can live and function in a space where I don't feel stress, I don't feel negative energy, I don't feel like it's just not going right. And one little example is figuring out where you and your partner's love languages authentically overlap. Not where you're giving a little bit, not where you're making an exception, or you're trying something new just because your partner has been wanting to do this for 25 years.
Yes. And rabbit hole indeed. I think one of the things is once you understand a little bit about yourself, you understand what you need for love. The hardest part with the love language is your love language might not be your partner's love language. And I think we were discussing this the other day, Hardy, that you could have the same love language, like quality time, and your idea of quality time might be sitting in front of Netflix doing some art. Her idea of quality time might be let's go to a cafe and have a talk. And that's where we can get down a rabbit hole.
and that's where we stand as far as what's very important when we talk about living and loving authentically, because the same word means different things for different people. So, for instance, my love languages are sensual and uh, quality time. But what I
Yes.
look
So
at,
in the
so
language,
what,
that's
like,
touch. Touch is the love language that we're talking about.
so
And
like,
how do you get essential?
like Stan said, we can go down that rabbit hole of the details, and I did choose a more subgroup of a love language, but touch and quality time. My wife loves quality time and words of affirmation. I like words of affirmation, but they're not in my love language. But it does allow me to authentically respond. So that's okay that we overlap there. But where we have the problem of the overlap is what quality time. And for me, quality time is doing exercises, working out, watching TV, playing a board game, doing things with your partner together, and having some conversation, maybe light conversation, maybe conversation that's not going to bring us down a place where I'm going to potentially push back on her boundaries or she's going to push back on my boundaries. My partner's, my wife's uh, perception of quality time is digging down, working out those deep issues, getting in there and creating that energy, that either fighting energy or debating energy or whatever it might be. But when I'm in the mood to be loved and be wanted to be seen and, have positive feelings, we don't meet. So what we did was we worked on where do we meet? What of our languages do we meet with? So maybe it's not a primary love language for both of us, but let's take touch for an example. She likes being caressed. I like being caressed. I like it a lot more than she does. But but I can still be authentic in my touch space by entering my touch space with her and having a conversation about an expectation. And then now we're in a space where we both know what each other want. We both understand what each other need for our love language. We're both okay saying no about our love language. And then by working on the other one where quality time, well, maybe we figure out a way that we can authentically use quality time in our love language. And one of the ways that I've been able to figure out to do it is I know from my personal brain and body and whatever baggage I'm carrying, I don't like, after like 7 o'clock at night, I don't like going deep on anything. Like my brain is in party mode, shutdown mode. You know, I'm not looking for deep introspective on myself at that point. I'm done for the day. I, my brain's fried too many eggs. So I communicated, I am okay meeting you on your love language and having those deep conversations that you need to have. Except I can only engage in those conversations when these criteria are met. And what are those criteria for me? It's very simple. Not right before bed, not right before dinner, and not right before I'm going out. Any other time, it's game because I love learning more about myself.
But what I heard there, Hardy, is you actually said you communicated how to do the love language. And I think the hardest one is to be intentional with when you've discovered your love languages, to be intentional with the ones that work for your partner.
It is. It's very hard because in the world that we live in my country, a lot of those things are very taboo to talk about and to bring up. And they come across as rules, as controlling, because people don't understand what a boundary is. People don't understand that when I word something which I can only show up when these things are met. I'm not asking you to change your behavior. I'm looking to find a time or a situation where all these things can be met so that I can be fully present and authentic in the situation. Because I know from past relationships, friends, foes, and family, the worst time to try to discuss something with me or have me do introspective is like 9:30 at night. Because my brain is just like, been there, done that. Like, what the fuck, pardon my language, but my brain is just like, what is going on? There's a time and place for everything. And work life, self improvement, all of these things do not need to be 7 by 24 projects. They can be, but you need to give yourself space.
Now, I think one of the other important things about authentic love is sometimes it just needs to be like everyday moments, not the big grand gestures. I mean, we're coming up to Valentine's Day, and half my friends are planning the big grand gesture. And you're like, why don't you just, say I love you every day?
And that's one of the things that really helped me start to live and communicate more authentically was figuring out that one little thing that I can do. Because making that big grand gesture was something that prior to 2016 was pretty much all I was able to do. And when I started to switch to notice the small things, to acknowledge the small things, to thank you for the small things, to say I love you, to say I appreciate you, to say I appreciate you taking time and interrupting your schedule to engage with me. When I started to make those changes, it started to get people around me to be happier about things. So the people that I was stressing with, the people that was in my love world, the people that was in my hate world, they now saw me seeing them for who they were. And for me to me authentically, that was one of the things I needed to do. I needed to start telling people what I saw in them and what I liked and what I didn't like. And to do it in a way that for me was authentic, not attention grabbing. And I was hiding my lack of understanding of what authentic living was by acting out constantly because I didn't understand what I needed. Or the best part about it was I learned how to communicate it. And once I learned how to communicate it in a non confrontational, in a positive manner, at the right time, at the right place, that was my biggest step to wanting to continue down this authentic path.
Now, for our listeners, one of the things that generally happens that I get when we do this activity is often there's a mismatch. So the problem being is I do my primary love language because that's how I express love. However, that might not be my partner's primary love language. I mean, you're lucky. You've at least got one that matches, and now you can find the space to do it in. Mine and my wife's ones don't match, and you have to don't do your love language, do her love language.
And for me, when we're in a situation like that, or when I work with my clients like that, what I find is that requires a lot more effort. Because if you're with someone that your love languages don't match, The first thing ask my clients is, tell me 3 reasons why you're with this person. And then once they tell me those 3 reasons, I love them, they're smart, they're nice, they're this, they're that, but their love languages don't overlap. And that's okay. You can be in a relationship with someone where you have different love languages. Everybody has different situations in life and different needs and desires, and I'm not going to judge anyone. But I do know a number of people that their love language and their primary partner's love language don't match. And how do they make it work? Well, one is maybe their love comes from something else, or maybe a little part of their life. They have to understand how inauthentic they are and be okay with making those exceptions. Because if your love language is gifts and touch, and your partner's love language is quality time and words of affirmation, and your subcategories bring you further apart because the gifts are lavish gifts that just arrive randomly in the mail. So that definitely means you're not going to even see the person for quality time. Words of affirmation might come in a writing format. So we have to find those little nuggets we can reach in and grab on and hold on to. And we also have to figure out how to communicate that. Like when they're doing something you like, don't just go, say, hun, I really appreciate it when you touch me like that, when you caress me like that, when you fan me like that, when you move the blankets like that, whatever it might be, acknowledge and thank. And if that's not in your authentic world of living, where you don't like to give words of affirmation, you don't like to give words of acknowledgement, you're not comfortable thanking, whatever reason it might be, figure out how you can live authentically by having a conversation with your partner on what they need from you and what you need from them. And then say, this is what I'm capable of giving, and this is what I'm willing to give, and this is what I'm willing to give when I'm drunk. Because it's really important to remember that when you're willing to give something in a nice conversation with your partner, that's very different than when you both got home from a tough day of work. That's very different when you're trying to start to make intimacy and your kids are screaming downstairs because they're throwing applesauce at each other. So we need to be constantly having these conversations and being prepared for the roads and bumps and gunshots and screams and arrests and all the world things that are going to happen around us. Because if we want to live authentically, we need to be present in many different situations.
Well, I think we must be coming very close to the end, Hadi, and probably the one question we can leave everybody with is what does living authentically actually mean to you?
To me, living authentically means that I can behave, interact with, and talk to the people I want to talk to. So I have different relationships with different people. And whether it's a loving relationship, whether it's a hatred relationship, whether it's a working relationship, whatever those relationships might be, it allows me to show up being who I am and not care, I guess is not the best way of putting it. Um, but not worry about being judged by others. not being told I'm wrong, my lifestyle is wrong. Because if you look at my lifestyle, 99% of the people that look at me think I'm wacky, I'm going through a midlife crisis, I'm very insecure. All of these things are come across as how I am in the world. I have purple hair. I run around comparatively most of the time naked. I party sometimes 48 to 72 hours straight. But that's what my body needs. And when I don't do it, what I've learned is the medical consequences are not worth it. So, like, people be like, I can't believe you just partied from like 6 o'clock on Friday until like you had to go to work on Monday. What does your doctor think about that? I'm like, he likes it because then he doesn't have to see me. Because when I live a different type of a lifestyle, my joints start to ache. I stop being able to sleep. Other things go bonkers in my physical body. So my body is expecting this pattern. And what I've learned is my body rewards me when I live authentically because the energy is there, the positiveness is there. I don't have trouble getting up. When I'm doing things authentically and living my whole life authentically, showing up on Friday at 7 o'clock to prep for a podcast at 9 when I didn't get out of work last night until 10:30 and it took me 87 minutes to get home if the Google was right. And then to get ready for today. So, and I've been working a lot of evenings lately. So, when I live authentically, the energy, the spark, the smile, the being able to turn the negative into the positive is a lot easier. And I notice that when I put myself in situations where I'm not able to act and live authentically, I'm a lot snarkier.
And I think one of the things, Hardy, is you help other people figure out what that means to them as well.
Yes, that's something that we actually both do. And one of the things that really helped me was working with clients to figure out the questions that need to be asked, the changes in behavior or thought process, or just the understanding that goes through. And sometimes we work with clients and they figure it out in a session. Sometimes you have a client that takes a lot more than that to go on their journey. And that's what we're here for. We're here to provide you support, our clients, to help them either live happier, be more authentic, showing up and being more present, making that job transition, going through change, whatever it might be in your life. If you feel it's not 100%, that's what me and Stan are here for. And I also want to give a shout out to I've received in the last 2 months a number of gift boxes from people for helping them out. And I was very surprised to find out that those gift boxes all came from the same place. It's called Lancaster Gift Box. It's local to Pennsylvania, and it's basically Pennsylvania treats where they can build custom gift boxes to send you all over the world. And the reason why I happened to get them was because I have a special diet that's gluten free vegan. And one of the things that LancasterGiftBox.com does really well is they allow you to customize that gift box for crazy people like me so that I can get my gluten free vegan gift box and still have my pretzels with the mustard dip and still have my 3 assortments of maple syrup. I don't know. It was a great surprise to get, and to get
You're making me hungry here, Hardy.
and to get 3 of them was even better.
Awesome.
And then speaking to the owner, he will be a guest on the show one day soon because he is now living authentically. This is a man that I met, woo, when my kids were like 5 and 6. And now they're like, that would be 20 years ago at a music festival. And we just had a chat and stayed in touch. And we're both living authentically.
I can't wait for that one, Hardy.
Yes. And next week, the topic
Hey.
was, I forgot.
Ah, good question.
It'll be coming soon. I don't want to waste your time or stay here while my super fast computer, while streaming, lets me search. This has been a free and open mind. I am Hardy Brooklyn, a life and business coach based out of Brooklyn, New York, that helps you find your journey to happiness. Stan,
I'm Stan. Have a good evening, all.
how can people find Stan?
You can find me at coachingwithstan.com.au.
And check out the Free and Open Mind podcast at freeandopenmind.com, which is a redirect to YouTube. There are some older episodes, and hopefully you'll see the progression over time. And next time.